Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is brokenheartedness. It's probably something that we've all experienced, and it may be an ongoing condition that we're living with. And today we get to look at how debilitating brokenheartedness can be, and how it really steals our life away and undermines our ability to love and engage with life. And potentially we can look at paths toward healing. So good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's great to be here with you this morning. And everybody else who's joining us, we're going to be speaking about brokenheartedness today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub those hands together to feel all the sensations, the friction, the temperature, the motion, the pressure, the tickling and tingling when you stop. Allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we're talking about brokenheartedness, and where this is coming from is a an extended deep dive that I've been making into relationships and myself in relation to relationship, and relationships with myself, with others, in romantic context. And it's taken me down a number of different paths. And the most recent, in this course of discovery, there were all kinds of layers and leaves of the artichoke that I've been pulling as I'm getting deeper and deeper and closer to the heart of the artichoke. That's a metaphor that was given me by one of my clients, and I love it. I think it's more appropriate than the onion. And it's interesting that the spiniest, hairiest parts are right around the heart, where the greatest deliciousness is. So as I'm progressing in this exploration, what arose was brokenheartedness. And another client was talking about looking wistfully back at the apparently TikTok. I checked it out. TikTok has a new filter that's called the teenage filter, where you can see yourself supposedly how you looked as a teenager. It reduces the signs of aging and all of that to extrapolate an image of yourself as a teenager. And a lot of people would get choked up about it, seeing themselves as a teenager. And so with this client, we were talking about, well, what was that about? That emotion that arose, and sort of this wistful melancholy of regret or ruminating on what could have been, all the bright, hopeful potential, if only, if only things had uh, evolved differently, if only certain circumstances hadn't happened, if only whatever, if only my heart hadn't gotten broken over and over and over again. And this idea of a broken heart is by definition something that keeps us from our wholeness. And it's also something that the lessons is an indicator in a certain way of experience that we've had that's deepened us potentially. And if we can find our way back to wholeness from this brokenheartedness, then our heart is more robust and more full and more wise and more seasoned, shall we say, maybe more resilient. So Rosalind says, broken being opposite of whole. That's how we're thinking of it. So a piece of my self-expression is not received, a form of rejection or suppression. Yes, 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 yes. So a piece of my self-expression is not received. I agree with that so wholeheartedly, Rosalind. Where we're maybe going numb, allowing parts of ourselves to sort of just die, to go dormant, to to be suppressed. And so when we think about this brokenheartedness, what often happens when we've been hurt is that we decide, I'm never going to allow that to happen again. I'm never going to experience that kind of hurt again. And so what happens is we shut ourselves off from life, and as a means of self-preservation, which I understand 100%. I've seen it in myself, and not that I don't love, but I haven't allowed myself to get engaged with people on a level that I used to, that was just completely open-hearted. And or it's different. Well, I'll say it's different. It's not that the love that I have for people is in any way inauthentic. It's that it's maybe tempered. Maybe there's a lesson around attachment or non-attachment that comes in. But as I was exploring this notion of brokenheartedness for myself, what I also noted was that there's fear. There's fear due to the brokenheartedness, due to the trauma of past experience. There's fear of the pain that can come out of deep love, the pain of loss. Welcome, welcome, Robin. Good morning. Great to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about brokenheartedness and how when we've suffered losses and the pain of a broken heart, that it becomes something that kind of censors our engagement with others, the level at which we're willing to truly connect and open our hearts. And the thing is that there's such a great cost to that. So I'm not advocating being foolish. Or maybe I am. I don't, it's a conundrum for me. I'm in the midst of it right now. Just exploring what this is. There's been, I had the experience recently to recognize that there was still brokenheartedness around certain losses that or certain loves that I've had in my life. And um, I don't know about you, but I find it in many ways much easier to bond to animals than to people. And um, I had a cat that truly was one of the great loves of my life. And maybe that tells you I'm a crazy cat woman or something. I don't know. But this cat was just my we just had a really, really, really profound bond. And I've had many animals that I have deeply loved and adored, but this cat was it was a whole different thing. I mean, it was bizarre, even for me, who's a deep, deep, deep animal lover, but it was a profound, profound bond. And someone brought this up to me recently, and I realized that it hadn't healed. It was still a deep wound for me. And then I started thinking of other people in my life and other, situations. And so I've been in this inquiry. It's not like I have answers, but I thought that maybe we could engage in this inquiry together around brokenheartedness and loss and the cost of that decision to say, I'm not going to let myself be that vulnerable, because what we're doing is we're cutting off such a rich potential for life and vitality when we do that. And um, I know that we can switch our focus to the fact that we had that depth of relationship, that we can be reveling in and cherishing the fact that we had that level of rich, rich, rich emotion. Um, and that doesn't necessarily heal that rift or that wound. Robin says, I understand. My dealing is, what if this was done or that? Yeah, so that's another thing. The what ifs and the shoulda, woulda, couldas, they can be really, really destructive. So we'll go back to the past and ruminate about what could have been, if only. And we nurture our melancholy and sadness around those unrealized potentials, which, it's kind of an exercise in futility. It's kind of just self-defeating in its nature, to be fantasizing about what could have been, because it wasn't. It wasn't. And maybe the fact that it wasn't meant it couldn't have been, that we engage in ways of thinking about things that are so limiting and self-destructive. So Robin says, both a human and animal still pop up and puddle my eyes. Yeah, I get it, Robin. I get it. I mean, I experience the same, when I think about, um, when I think about certain relationships, certain beings that have had such a deep heart connection. And, it's interesting, the term, the sweet sadness. There is a sweetness to those feelings, because it's tempered by love. And yet it's this very close affiliation between love and loss. And the thing that I am looking at or endeavoring to address for myself is the fear of the vulnerability that we have when we allow ourselves to care for someone else, to really deeply connect with someone else. And how do we do that in a way that isn't needy? How do we do that in a way that isn't characterized by um, our own need and kind of the push pull of, I'm afraid of my need, I'm afraid of being vulnerable. The vulnerability probably comes from that attachment. And when we think of um, unconditional love, I kind of hear it as love without attachment. I guess we get to look at what the notion of attachment is. Again, it's that need, that sort of consuming, maybe, uh, feeling or thought. I have to say, really, truly, it's a conundrum to me to think about this balance of, like, what is true love? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Part of this conversation for myself has come from a recognition of my limited experience of being loved and adored, like to believe that I could truly be loved and adored and cherished. And Robin says, maybe it's a replacement for what you've lost to give that peace and joy again. Yeah, to find a place of peace and joy. I think it's necessary to allow for accepting all the feelings. And I just, I wonder, because it hasn't been my experience in my life that I've been deeply loved and accepted and appreciated and adored and cherished. And I wonder how many of us have that experience of truly being embraced by that love that we can relax and feel safe in. And I know some people do get to have that experience in their families, from their parents. I don't know that it's a I don't know that everybody or the majority of people get to experience that, because I've not seen evidence that it's something that is common, but I do know that uh, some people do get to experience that, and I wonder, I imagine that. I imagine feeling that I've had moments of that kind of kinship. I've had moments of that kind of connection, where I felt free to be entirely myself. And what I realize as I'm experiencing more life is that that's a permission we give ourselves. And we don't need to give that permission. We don't need to delegate that permission to someone else. So Robin says, ditto, not yet for me. I still have hope. So yeah, me too. And what I realize about this whole thing is that there's still a place where I've not fully loved myself, because otherwise I probably would have drawn that love to me. I would have been able to receive it. I'm not saying I never was loved in that way. I said I've not experienced being loved in that way. And it may be that I just didn't know how to receive it. And part of not knowing how to receive it is that I haven't given it to myself, that there's a place where I haven't allowed myself to be worthy of that love from myself, even, like that there's a place of self-acceptance that is not yet whole, a place of self-love and self-appreciation and connection and awareness that's not yet entirely whole. And I wonder if that resonates for you, that somewhere along the line we got the idea perhaps that we were unlovable or that we were unacceptable, and have still been operating in life out of that lens to whatever degree. Now, this is something that has, I've addressed over years and years, and it's rather surprising to me to recognize that there are still remnants of this behavior, this pattern, this belief, this field that I'm still engaging with. And we deal with our own transformation and growth. I call it spirals of change, spirals of evolution, that we come back around and these same things are visited over and over again, but from a different frequency, a different level of awareness. And it's surprising to me to see that there's still this notion of not fully, truly, completely accepting and embracing myself, as lovable, as acceptable, to be connecting on that deep level, like that there's still more. Go figure, there's still more. There's still even more deeply that we can go. And I'm sharing this with you because I'm guessing I'm not alone in this. And it's fascinating to me to I think that the path to healing brokenheartedness is to come into right relation with ourselves, to come into a place of love and acceptance so that we can truly experience the depth of love for another and from another. You know, that as we deepen our ability to love and accept ourselves, then we're deepening our ability to receive love and believe love that is given us. And, you know, like the believing that we are worthy, believing that we are deserving. So it's an interesting inquiry. It's been quite eye-opening for me and surprising to be recognizing how the brokenheartedness is also a sense of feeling incomplete. And when we can come to our wholeness, you know, like I have this notion, which may or may not be true, but I have this notion that true love is coming as a whole, coming together as two whole beings. You know, that it's not about filling gaps for each other, but more dancing together in wholeness, rather than, you know, fitting missing pieces together. Although those wholes can certainly be complementary to one another. So we have a few more minutes. I wonder what your thoughts are before I sign off for this morning, around brokenheartedness and wholeness and self-love and self-acceptance. So Robin says, well spoken, the merge of oneness. Thank you for that, Robin. Yeah, I think that that's where we want to be headed, right? Where we're whole and we meet each other in our wholeness. And I guess that's it for this morning. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving me the space to be ruminating on these notions and to be sharing this with you. Dido, good morning. Good morning. Rumi wrote something about two deeply rooted trees whose branches intertwine, which I like. That's beautiful, Dido. Exactly, that's beautiful. And Rosalind says, for me, romantically avoiding identity rather than meeting each other in wholeness. Romantically avoiding identity. I'm not sure what you mean, Rosalind, but I think that so often in our romantic relationships, we're trying to fill an emptiness, fill a void. And when we are able to fill that void within ourselves, then we can be whole and bring that wholeness in relationship to another. But these are my thoughts. It's not yet embodied. Robin says, pray the Lord prepares you to recognize the person when they cross your path. It's a beautiful sentiment, Robin. Thank you, Dido. Thank you, all of you, for engaging in this conversation and all the other conversations that we have that can be less than comfortable. And until next time, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And until next time, so much love to you.